for joining us today for this Child Life Q&A. My name is Jacqueline Garborg. I'm the communication coordinator at Hope for HIE, and I'm also an HIE mom. I'm here with Annie Gunning, our Child Life specialist and our grief counselor. Annie, thank you for being here today. Can you start by sharing just a little bit about your role and what you do at Hope for HIE?
Yeah, of course. I'm happy to be here again. Love doing these to get some information out there for our family. So as Jacqueline said, I'm a child life specialist. So my role is to help families and children understand and cope with their medical experiences. So anything to help prepare them, whether it's diagnosis information, hospitalizations, test procedures, increasing those coping skills and decreasing stress and anxiety. And that extends to siblings in our families as well. And then I'm also a grief counselor, and that really is for children specifically that I support with grief, though I do work with parents and helping their children support their children in grief. So I work, we have the Super Sibs programs for our Super Sibs who have lost, our Super Sibs, and we also have SOAR. So I also do those programs here at Hope for HIE.
So this Q&A session is all about the ways that children can use play as a coping tool. We're heading into the summer months, and Annie has some really wonderful and practical tips for our families. So jumping right in, why is play so important for families or for children coping with stress, different medical experiences, or who are grieving?
Yeah, and I guess I probably should have included that too when I was talking about what I do. The child life specialist, the foundation of how we work is through play.
Mm-hmm.
Everything is done in a developmentally appropriate way, engaging, hands-on, helping kids understand. So play is really the foundation of what we do. It is a child's natural language. That's how they understand and process things. That's how they express their feelings and worries and get their questions out there. And usually they can do it that way as opposed to verbalize them. So we can learn a lot through their play because they often don't have the words yet. So during times of stress or illness, grief, change, play helps kids process the emotions, gain a sense of control, build that mastery, and just safely work through difficult experiences that they're having.
Mm-hmm. What does play as coping actually look like at home for children of different ages and different abilities?
Play as coping can look obviously very different for different ages, depending on the child. It can include with just building with blocks, sensory play, drawing, imaginative, movement and games, storytelling, music, medical play with stuffed animals. So for some kids, like repeating experiences through play,
Mm-hmm.
like especially medical experiences or changes or hard experiences, you'll see them play those things out repetitively, while other kids may benefit more from like calming sensory activities to help with emotional regulation or outdoor play to help with emotional regulation. So all of those things though, while to us it's just look like playing, especially like if I'm doing it individually with a child, it really is coping for them as well.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. How can parents use some more simple summer activities to help children regulate their emotions and reduce anxiety? As we know, a lot of our kiddos have some differences and harder times regulating emotions. I know my son does. And anxiety is more common with kiddos with HIE as well.
Sure. And I think also just summertime can add to that because there's no regular schedule, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like we know kids benefit and do so much better when they know what's coming, what to expect day to day. That's why routine is so important. So summer, while like it's fun and it's summertime, we're out of school, but it can also be really challenging for
Yeah.
us as
Mm-hmm.
parents, but also for kids figuring out what's going on.
Right.
So summer activities to include like any kind of movement or sensory input, creativity, in connection with their family members, with their caregivers, can be really regulating for children. So activities like water play, sidewalk chalk, obstacle courses to where they're moving different ways,
Mm-hmm.
scavenger hunts, bubbles, painting, gardening, like this is just a big range of things. And even if your child is not able to sit on the ground and garden, that's
Mm-hmm.
not really what I'm thinking, but they are still experiencing play and experiencing their world when they're doing those things with you or with a sibling or with a family member. So if they're, say, sitting in a wheelchair and they're outside while you're, planting some things or doing some yard work, they're still outside. So
Yeah.
just, we know, being outside in nature, there's lots of senses that we're exploring right there. You
Hmm.
can tell them what colors of flowers you're using, what kind of flowers, what things smell like, what do they feel like. So you're also explaining all of these things
Yeah.
while you're interacting with them. And that is, again, can be very like regulating for kids. And
Right.
like and all the sensory play too, that just helps release the stress.
Yeah.
So while you're building, coping skills like in a fun and natural way of like all of these different types of activities.
Yeah. I love that. Just because, I mean, obviously we have so many different levels and abilities, and I was thinking about how to do things like that in the summer with my kiddo because he has cerebral palsy, but there's um, just different levels of being able to play with typical things that you could play outside.
Yeah, and we'll talk about that more really with like the different sensory bins. But like, so maybe you're even not planting things, and we're just like, I'm off on gardening now, and maybe you're not doing things in the ground, but maybe you're doing like little pots, and then that
Yeah.
can be set up on a tray or at a table where they can interact more, and you can help them hold things with hand over hand, and it's a little bit more engaging.
Yeah. Love that. What are some easy sensory ideas for families that they can do at home or outside this summer?
Yeah, I love sensory activities. So when I work with kids, even one-on-one, a lot of my time is outside with kids, and I love doing just offering different types of sensory activities, even for older kids,
Hmm.
because it can be really just calming and regulating. And often, even for the older kids, provides them an opportunity of like play that they maybe normally don't get to do, or it's like, oh, I'm too old, I can't play. But
Right.
you'll notice, like, if you have just these things out, they do engage a little bit more. So just things like water bins, but make it like add an extra element of fun, and you can just do different scoops or bowls or cups or anything.
Hmm.
And add food coloring to it, and you can make it themed, like make it an ocean theme, so you're just dumping fish or shells in it.
Yeah.
Color the water blue, make it all red themed, so then the water's red, and anything you find around the house that they could play with that's red, put all red things in there.
Yeah.
So, you can just kind of, and honestly, you could probably look up on, like, I feel like Pinterest has great like sensory bin ideas.
Hmm.
um but ice play with frozen animals or objects, again, you can put, I have these are like moldable little ice cube things, so they're really big, and so
Yeah.
I color those, I put little animals in them, and kids have to like dig them out.
Right.
So that's kind of a fun thing. And if your child is not able to hold something and dig it out, but they can still hold it and they can feel that it's cold and it's
Yeah.
smooth, and you can still talk through the sensory aspect.
Yeah.
Or with other kids, another like really regulating activities, we take those ice cubes outside and we throw them on the ground. And that's a good like release, because it's not
Yeah.
going to hurt anything. It's
Hmm.
safe. It's just going to melt away, but it feels really good sometimes to throw something on the ground in a safe way and like break it.
Yeah.
And then kinetic sand, homemade Play-Doh. And I think we're going to maybe attach, or we can probably attach, lots of different like dough recipes.
Hmm.
I think I sent something out in either Soar or Super Sibs a while back.
Hmm.
Just lots of different recipes. It was like cloud dough, it was Play-Doh. I don't know if there's some kind of sand dough. So, just different stuff like that. And again, it kind of adds a little bit of fun to the summer.
Yeah.
Bubble play, sidewalk chalk paint, super easy to do. And then with the sidewalk chalk paint, you could just also paint with water outside. Use syringes,
Yeah.
use paintbrushes.
Yeah.
Pinata water balloons are one of my favorite. Just filling balloons. I use regular balloons because they're a little harder to break. And then I tie them with a string and hang them on a tree, and I let kids smack them and hit them. And again, good energy release. Kind of fun thing. Yeah. Glow necklaces and sticks at nighttime. So you know how they have, I feel like I see them all the time at the dollar store, those
Yeah.
big glow sticks or necklaces. And you can make games out of those, make a tic-tac-toe or something outside at night, or you could probably build like some kind of little obstacle course at night with they have to just walk through the glow sticks. For regular sensory bins like rice, flour, soil, little pebbles, oats, beans, things like that, you would find at your grocery store, dollar store. And then spray bottles and sponge games with targets or buckets.
Yeah.
Yeah, so a lot of these sensory things are just very regulating, calming to the nervous system, and then can just improve like your focus, your emotional, help with emotional expression, things like that.
Okay.
That's probably a lot. Sorry.
No, it's great. I'll link all this stuff too, like ideas too, so that families can easily access it. How can, I mean, we kind of already talked about this a little bit, but how can water play, movement, and outdoor activities help children who struggle with emotional regulation or are easily frustrated?
Yeah, I paused. Did I pause or did you pause? Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah.
Okay. um, yeah, so movement and sensory input helps children release any kind of built up energy, tension, emotions in a safe and fun way. That's what we're teaching them to do. That's how this is coping, because we're giving them these opportunities to release all these emotions and feelings and energy that maybe we're preventing them from having a meltdown. So these are kind of like regular activities that they're doing, or they have the opportunity to do these things to keep them regulated throughout the day.
Yeah.
Then maybe we can ward off some tantrums that come later in the evening or at certain points
Right.
of the day when they just feel overwhelmed,
Yeah.
right? We want to keep
Yeah.
them from feeling overwhelmed. And these types of activities can help kids from like having that feeling of being overwhelmed.
Right. What is therapeutic or mastery play, and why might children repeat medical or caregiving type themes during play?
Yeah, so I do a lot of medical play,
Mhm.
obviously, with kids, and I think I've talked with a lot of parents who, they might, oh, I've been seeing them play with this same like thing at the hospital, or like it was a really scary thing, and they're getting really mad when they play. But mastery play happens when it is really when children are repeating experiences and play
Yeah.
to help them but better understand and gain a sense of control.
Right.
So they may be pretending, to be the doctor or play over that hospital experience or that test that they had, or taking care of stuffed animals. But it's really, they're just repeating it over and over so they can understand it and process it better,
Yeah.
and they then have a sense of control over that situation that they probably did not have control over at all, and that can feel really hard and overwhelming and scary and all of those things.
Yeah.
So it's really a healthy and normal way for them to process medical experiences, fears, uncertainty, grief. And
Mhm.
I always tell families too, like if you have any medical supplies or if you're at the doctor, and you know how you're in the room sometimes, and like as a healthcare worker that used to be in the hospital, like whatever you touched or left in the room or we partially used, like we throw that away. Like that's
Yeah.
not getting used by anybody else. Ask them if you can take that home and
Right.
then integrate that into your playtime, because then they're using it in a safe environment at home.
Mhm.
We know nobody's using that on us, but it desensitizes them to some of that material that they can then just play with for fun.
Right. So you mentioned, yeah, saving real medical supplies. What kind of things do you recommend are like worth saving for families?
I feel like most of the time it's like obviously anything that was not really
Yeah. Yeah.
clearly. But like sometimes I feel like they even leave like little alcohol wipes, and you can just ask them, be like, hey, can we're practicing doing this stuff at home, or they're having a really hard time with XYZ. Can we take a couple things home? I would even make bags for families. Be like, yes, take this home and practice. Like, I want you to practice this so this isn't so hard. So syringes, like
Yeah.
any kind of alcoholics, things that that they might encounter regularly,
Right.
or that they particularly have a hard time with, definitely those things. But
Okay.
really anything, if there's like little tubing around, like that they're not going to use or that they're leaving in the room, be like, can I take that home?
Yeah.
Like, just have it around to play with. Just again, so it becomes more normal. And
Right.
it's not like you're going to walk into the hospital and see, like, wait, what is that? Now I'll be like, oh, I had that at home. Go play with that.
What if the play seems like really intense or really kind of distressing? How do parents know when it's like healthy processing of the experiences that they're having versus like something that's potentially a little bit deeper?
Yeah, that's a good question, because I think sometimes there is like a fine line of like, oh gosh, do I let this go on, or do I get in there with it and interrupt? And I think a lot of times it is just like standing back and letting it play out,
Yeah.
because this really is them trying, learning and processing and trying to gain that sense of control over the situation they were in.
Mhm.
So standing back and letting them do it, but then you can be alongside them, and you can ask questions, like as long as they're still the leaders in the play.
Right.
We don't want to take over, but be like, oh, I see like a character, the bear is over there. I wonder, like that's what I always use. I wonder
Hmm.
why that bear's over there and then these animals are all over here. I wonder why
Yeah.
they're like that. And they might be like, oh, well, that's because he was bad because he was at the hospital and he was crying. And they'll tell you this whole story, like, oh, I wonder if he thinks like he had to be by himself because he was crying.
Yeah.
Like they really will project their feelings
Yeah.
and their what they think is happening in this story. And then you can be like, oh gosh, I hope he doesn't feel like that was, he wasn't in trouble because he had to go to the doctor. Like you
Yeah.
can kind of clarify things that way as long as they're like leading it.
Yeah. Just
Does
as
that make
parents.
sense?
Yeah. Kind of just stay curious, and
Yeah, for
then
sure.
they'll share when they want to.
Yeah. Yeah. And then they might be like, okay, and now I'm gonna do, and like
Yeah.
then they're done with that part and they move on to the next. Yeah. Like, okay. But like you do get little insights to like
Yeah.
what they're doing and what they understand. And you're like, oh my gosh, it's amazing. Like it's really amazing watching kids play things out sometimes.
How can creative activities like drawing or painting, building, storytelling help children express feelings that they might not have words for?
Yeah, creative activities give children that safe, indirect way to express emotions. Like we always say, like, we talk about our feelings, kids play about their feelings or play through their feelings,
Right.
right? So sometimes feelings like the sadness, the anger, worry, confusion, those are really hard to explain and they can be really confusing, especially if you're having multiple at one time. So
Yeah.
these types of activities, they just allow the kids to communicate their thoughts and emotions, and it just feels less pressured than like a conversation. So let's draw how you feel you just using colors today. Let's draw what color should we pick for happy, or let's draw a picture of what it was like, at the doctor this morning. Like, let's
Hmm.
just draw about it instead, or let's make
Yeah.
something with Play-Doh about it.
Yeah.
I would often have kids make things like make your favorite memory. Let's make that.
Right.
So yeah, you can use lots of different materials like that, but it's easier for them to do that than use the words for sure.
Right. Um, what are some simple like sibling connection activities that families can try during summer months?
There are some of these that I was thinking about. We definitely have shared with Super Sibs before, and I think probably with SOAR too. I know for sure with Super Sibs just to help with that sibling connection. But a few
Mhm.
of them like family scavenger hunts, I love. And they can be different, whether it's like you make a nature scavenger hunt, you make a sensory scavenger hunt, and you have teams, or you just go in your neighborhood and make your own, you make your own thing. But
Yeah.
you can pretty much like Google scavenger hunts and like you'll come up with like a list of images and it can give you a list of things. Team obstacle courses, so then they're on a team like kids versus parents or
Mhm.
something like that. Grab some neighborhood kids if anybody else wants to play. I like doing sidewalk chalk, or like I said, the sidewalk chalk paint.
Mhm.
Gratitude drawing, so everybody just draw something you're thankful for. Let's all draw one thing we're thankful for, or a gallery walk. So if
Yeah.
everybody has like a big section that they're in charge of drawing in or creating in, or and if your child is not able to hold the chalk and draw,
Yeah.
that's okay. They can tell you, okay, what color do you want to use? Purple.
Yeah.
Okay, what do you want me to draw with purple? I
Yeah.
want you to draw it this way. Do you want me to draw and just get very specific? Do you want this part to be pointed or is it supposed to be rounded? Because
Yeah.
it's really giving them control over the art
Right.
and just in a different way. That's still playing. They're still interacting and doing it. And
Yeah.
invite neighbors and then do like a gallery walk so that like everybody gets to go see everybody's art and you're explaining your art and it's really
Yeah.
a sense of pride and accomplishment.
Yeah.
I love building projects with like recyclable material. Like, so you
Mhm.
just have save all your recycled stuff. Like, let's all build something together.
Yeah.
Let's see what we can create. Water balloon games, family game nights, of course, where different people are in charge of choosing different games. Collaborative art projects. So I would do this a lot. I feel like in the hospital, but make bracelets for each other,
Oh, I love that.
or like everybody has the same kind of bracelet or the same color. Like maybe you have a family color
Yeah.
and so everybody has that. So then now when you wear the bracelet, that's like your family thing. That's your family bonding connection.
Yeah.
Or you can also do like pillowcases. I was thinking like painting on something, like you could paint pillowcases, either fabric markers or, fabric paint or something like that, and
Yeah.
then switch. I'll make one for you, you make one for me.
Yeah.
I've done things like, and you can just do art, or you can do like one side is like all the things that help you feel calm, and like
Yeah.
that's on your pillow. So, and then of course, like if you want to do more, like if you have older kids, and like we do need to talk a little bit. It's not all about like just
Right.
drawing and playing.
Yeah.
Like we do need to have some conversation too, right? The rose and thorn sharing at dinner. So everybody share one thing that went great today. Everybody share one thing that went really hard today, and just like that 5 minutes together can really just form some nice connection time.
Yeah. What are some ways to support children who seem resistant to talking about their feelings, but engage them through play and movement?
I think a lot of kids feel, especially as they get older, more comfortable in like a side by side
Hmm.
rather than like a face to face.
Right.
And I feel like I even like position myself when I'm working with one kiddo next to them as opposed to straight across, like we're eye to
Yeah.
eye, right? And
Yeah.
we're maybe working on something together. So, same
Yeah.
idea, like if they don't really want to sit and have that conversation, most kids don't.
Yeah.
Let's do something side by side, or let's play a game together, and then we can just kind of ask some questions. They're more likely to engage in conversation when
Yeah.
their hands are busy because they're feeling a little bit more regulated, right?
Yeah.
Because they're doing something play related, or walking. I feel like a lot of times walks, like let's just walk through the neighborhood, and that can
Yeah.
just be an easier way to talk. Driving in the car is usually a much easier time for kids to have conversations because you're not face to face.
No eye
Throwing the
contact
ball.
involved.
What?
No eye contact involved.
Right, exactly, right? But, like, every once in a while, you can look in the rearview mirror and be like, "Okay."
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. But, like,
Yeah.
you're still having that, conversation, or, like,
Yes.
basketball, or just
Yeah.
something that's not so direct. It can be
Right.
very indirect,
Right.
yeah.
It's so interesting how that changes as kids get older too.
Oh,
Because when you're
for
when
sure.
kids are young, you're taught like face to face so that you can encourage that like, you know,
Yeah.
language development and all that. But as you
Yeah.
get older,
Yeah, and of course, like, some, like, little kids, like, they'll be, like, right in your face
yeah.
and you can talk, but I feel like sometimes when it's, like, a bigger thing, it's harder,
Yeah.
and so that's when it might have to be, like, a side-by-side thing,
Right.
or, like, in your lap, and so you're still snuggled and you're getting hugs, but maybe you're
Yeah.
not face to face, and that could be a little bit easier too.
Yeah. Yeah. How can families create calming or coping focused play spaces at home for their kids without spending a ton of money or like on a budget?
Yeah, I think, calming spaces in your home can be very small and simple and personalized, like just with things you already have at home.
Mhm.
Or, I love the dollar store. I feel like I get tons of great little finds at the dollar store or something like that. But as long as you're creating just a small space, I'm actually the Hope Family Conference that we had, the big child. So we had this big child care room, and it was huge. And the organization did a wonderful job of having different games, but they also had like a quiet, calm corner, and they just had pillows there. They would get blankets out, and if they saw a child that needed a break, they would simply just go over there, and it was kind of set off just the slightest bit,
Mhm.
and it had some pillows and some blankets and some books and nothing magnificent, right? But it was enough and it helped.
Yeah.
There was a couple kids that I definitely saw using that space.
Yeah.
So it's kind of the same idea, like pillows, blankets, a quiet area that doesn't necessarily have to be in a whole nother room, just in a separate corner, with calming at like coloring, fidgets, books, headphones, for canceling out sound, or for music, stuffed animals, maybe some visual calming tools, like those visual like sensory bottles that you can make.
Yeah.
Yeah, just you can also make, I'm sure I've shared this at some point, like I make all the time, like stress balls with flour and balloons. I just fill up balloons with flour, and that's an instant stress
Right.
ball and calming. And so you can make things like that and then have, things like that in that space as well.
Okay. What are some of your favorite activities or coping tools that families can easily incorporate into their everyday summer routines?
Yes, and some of these I've probably already said. We've talked about at some point, maybe, but feelings and sensory scavenger hunts. I love them. I think sensory scavenger hunts, like let's go find something that's soft. Now we got to find something that's rough, or we got to find something that's red. So
Yeah.
it's just really incorporating all those senses. The same thing. Emotion check-ins during meals. So it's kind of like that rose and thorn. So what's one great thing that happened with everybody today? What was the hard thing? Relaxation breathing. I always tell my kids when I'm working with my kids, like, the more we just do this regularly and we practice big giant deep breaths regularly when we really need it, it's easier for to utilize it.
Yeah.
It's hard when we're in the moment of panicking and freaking out and having a tantrum, be like, oh, take some relaxation, take
Yeah.
some deep breaths. It's like,
When you're in that space. Yeah.
yeah. So, like, practicing those just regularly, like maybe that's a part of your bedtime routine.
Right.
I love a graffiti wall, and obviously this could not be for really young kids who you're still afraid of like writing on everything. But like that big giant butcher paper, I've done this before in people's like kitchens or a common space, and there's markers, and there's just a space for people, like the whole family, to like draw a big piece of art together.
Right.
Write questions on it, write messages to each other, just draw, like whatever.
I
It's
love
just kind
that.
of a fun thing to have. And maybe that's just like a summertime thing that we do. Oh, in the summer we put up our big art wall and we all get to color and paint on it or whatever. Nature walks, really focusing on just mindfulness. Like, it can be 5 minutes. Mindfulness is really hard, I think,
Yeah.
especially for kids. It's even more challenging. But let's just walk for like 5 minutes or 3 minutes and listen to the different sounds that we hear.
Right.
Coping kits, create your own coping kits at home. It can be a little box, a small little bag with different types of coping tools in there. Storytelling games, any kind of music and movement, again, to help with that regulation. It stays light outside so much longer, so take
Yeah.
advantage of that and do some dancing and singing and basketball and all that kind of stuff, whatever, bikes, whatever, outside.
Yeah.
And then memory making activities too, and like really, so you can like it's really just marking the time that you are in your lives, right? So doing summer journals or photo projects of like, we're just going to take pictures of the summer and actually print them out and put them in like a fun book for everybody, for you to have. That could be like a fun project of like the activities that we did.
Yeah.
Same thing with like kind of along the same lines, like a time capsule. Like, everybody put something from their year. We're going to dig it, and then next summer we'll dig it up and we'll see like what changed with everybody or whatever.
Oh, that's so fun. I love that.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Annie, for sharing these ideas. I learned a lot. I did so many fun things to implement in the summer months, and appreciate your knowledge and tips to support the parents in our community.
Yeah, absolutely.
So this stream is going to be available on YouTube, on our YouTube channel, and we'll also be posting a key takeaways blog in the next week with all the great ideas that Annie has shared, along with probably some links out to resources that we've created in the past too. So thank you so much, Annie.
Yeah, thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.